In episode number 339 of the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, we cover Sony's future plans for their Marvel Sonyverse.
We also have the drop of the trailer that is the animated Batman vs. TMNT movie.
And our comic book highlight this week is The Batman Who Laughs, The Grim Knight #1.
All of this and so much more on today's show.
Hello and welcome to the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, bringing you the reasons we're broke every single week, ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more. I am your almighty emperor, Kelli.
And I am Elite 4 Daniel.
Ooh, what kind of Pokemon do you use Elite 4, Daniel?
I use a perfect IV Bulbasaur, a perfect IV Ivysaur. That makes sense?
Yeah.
I also use a Chansey, perfect IV, of course.
You can't. They all have to be the same type.
And then I use 3 more Chanseys that all have Toxic, Soft Boiled.
No. You all have to be the same type. They have to be the same type.
Well, Bulbasaur is a poison type as well, right? And Chansey's using poison moves with Toxic, so that counts.
It doesn't work that way.
Well, say that to the champion. He's not one type. He's different types.
Yeah, but you're not the champion. You're Elite 4, Daniel.
Well, one day I will be. To anyone new to the show, the way we format it is first we go through some news. We head on over into the Brokehead block, which is where Kelli and I have been this week. We go into our Patreon shoutouts, which is our thank yous to everyone that makes the show possible. And we end it with a comic book or movie review, which in this case, it is the comic The Grim Knight #1.
With our news this week, we're going to kick it off with some Sony news with Sony's Spider-Verse.
With all of the success that Sony has had last year, Sony Pictures is moving forward on the TV and cinema side with a multi-year plan for their Spider-Man and other Sony-owned Marvel properties after the success of Into the Spider-Verse and Venom.
You would have to do other things. Those things were so big. You just have to.
They were huge. They were well received by fans. Many are calling Into the Spider-Verse the best Spider-Man movie of all time. Venom made them more money than Spider-Man Homecoming after they split that particular property, that movie, with Disney. And now with Venom and Spider-Verse, they get all of the money. They're not splitting that with the MCU. So yes, you move forward with this. They're carving their own path, and good for Sony.
And they got a great Eminem song out of it.
Yeah, that was original, right? That Venom one?
I still haven't heard the whole song. All I know is, it's Venom. And I was like, it's Eminem. Perfect. Instant hit.
Well, he also retweeted the Shazam trailer because that had his song in it too. So that got them even more views.
When did he just come out of the darkness? He was gone for 10 years and now here he is making angsty shit again and I'm eating it up.
We have a quote here from Sony Pictures Entertainment Chairman Tony Vinciquerra, who said, quote, "We have the next 7 or 8 years laid out as to what we're going to do with that asset, and that will not only be on the film side, it'll be on the TV side. Our television group will have its own set of characters from within that universe that we will seek to develop," end quote.
As soon as these two movies, as soon as Into the Spider-Verse won that Oscar, they said emergency meeting, and they were up for 4 days and planned out all this shit.
I think as soon as both movies made all the money, they were already making those plans.
Oh, hell yeah. The Hollywood Trade reports that Sony owns the TV and film rights to 900 Spider-Man adjacent characters that they are researching as possible franchises. That is so many characters.
But just sell it over to Disney.
Just sell it.
Fucking over 900 fucking characters? Hell no,
just sell it all.
The potential alone. You can fail 900 times before they ever consider. And even then they can reboot all those 900 things. Don't fucking sell. Keep trying.
After they won the Oscar, their CEO should have sent an email to Disney could have been yours.
Didn't win this year, did you?
Maybe next year. Oh, wait, we're not selling that shit. See you next year, bitches.
Right now, Sony has Morbius in production right now, and plans for Silver Sable, Black Cat, Nightwatch, Kraven the Hunter, Silk, Jackpot, and a Venom sequel. And all of these have been reported as in some stage of coming out. And this is only, 7 characters right there out of the over 900 that they own the rights to?
They're going to make all 900.
It's going to be fantastic. They should.
JK.
With the way that Into the Spider-Verse.
No, you really think that Kraven is going to do as well?
We didn't think Venom was going to do as well. Remember, if Tom Hardy plays Kraven, it's going to do amazing.
I didn't think that Venom was going to do as well as it did, but that's still a more recognizable character than Kraven the Hunter.
That's true, but Kraven is still a huge Spider-Man villain. He has a Spider-Man story right now that just started. It's called Hunted. Part 1 just came out Wednesday, and that is the new story event that is going on in Amazing Spider-Man. He has one of the most recognizable stories in which it is the final hunt, I think it was called, where he offs himself at the end of the Spider-Man story.
Wow.
It's considered one of the best villain Spider-Man stories and comics out there. So if you would even take some of that inspiration and turn that into whatever it is, and whether it's animated, live action, I think it's got the potential to at least tell a better story than Venom's.
You could make a real dark story with that, where he fails and he just blows himself.
Credits, no music.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Or just, it starts out with no music, but then it's a real somber piano.
Yes.
Oh shit, I got chills. Make this. I was just thinking, I would love to see a whole TV show, like a Netflix series, right? Of Superior Spider-Man.
That could absolutely work. We already know that they're going to spin off Into the Spider-Verse alone. We know they're getting the all-female, the Spider-Women reboot or offshoot movie.
The Spider-Women.
And then we're also getting the television show as well that's going to spin out of Into the Spider-Verse. And that's just the 2 that we know of. They can go straight into, I saw something about Spider-Ham getting his own animated thing. All of these Spider people, all of these alternate versions of Spider-Man could each be its own tentpole thing.
Easily.
And that's only talking about the Spider people. That's not including the offshoot characters, the sidekicks, the villains. Sony has a gold mine here under them. And clearly with Venom Into the Spider-Verse, the Tobey Maguire films, and even the ASM movies, they can clearly make money off of these franchises. And I know a lot of people point to Amazing Spider-Man 2 is, we didn't get a third one. That's because the projections weren't where they needed to be, but it still did really well, which they were unfortunately making that comparison to what Disney was doing instead of just going, hey, how much did we spend on this? How much did we actually make? And was it well received? All of this is all a part of it. And thankfully they got that success last year where the campaigns to kind of wreck them did not have effect on these. People went out, they saw them. People that I talked to every day at the comic shop, they enjoyed Into the Spider-Verse. They said it was the best Spider-Man movie they've ever seen.
Wow.
They were pleasantly surprised by Venom. So yes, move forward, Venom, or Sony, and Venom. Even this Venomverse could be its own thing. All the Venom people, everyone that symbiote Venom ever got a hold of, could be its own property, its own franchise. Now, I'm not saying do all of these at once at the same time, but have a plan, as they've said, of 8 years of, okay, this year we're going to do this, we're going to move forward with this, and then adjust, just like they did with Spider-Verse. That was successful. All right, let's spin these off and plan that. Keep doing that, Venom. Again, carve your path, and we will absolutely be there to support you because, as we said, I think last week, we need to have that diverse set of superhero films that aren't just the MCU.
Totally agree. And not really related, but kind of, because we're talking about Venom, right? Just talking about how widespread it is. When we get to the Brocat block, I'll talk about what I did this weekend. But they played Venom twice at this place that I was.
Nice.
On the big screen.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I'd walk past, I'd be like, oh, yeah. So I finally saw that first 10 minutes that I missed. Right there in the beginning. So that was cool. That wasn't what I expected, right? But there it was for everybody.
That's fantastic. And why not? Why not play Venom?
Right, because it's huge. And I mean, lots of people were watching it, so...
I still like that people brought up, why is Stan Lee in it? It's he's been in the Sony Spider-Man movies. It's not a Disney thing. He's been in the Sonyverse since before any of this. The Incredible Hulk, the Hulk, Spider-Man, Sony Spider-Man films. That's really where cameos on the big screen at least started. Obviously, he's shown up in the comic books before. We've had the editorial. We've had the TV specials. And he was really the face of Marvel Comics for many years. But it did not start with the MCU.
So I think we're both in agreement that we're definitely on board with any of the Spider-Verse that Sony puts forth. Something we are definitely not on board with anymore is Suicide Squad Jr.
Anymore. We were never on board with this shit.
No, not Suicide Squad Jr., as directed by pedo perv James Gunn.
Someone else who's not on board with pedo perv James Gunn, Suicide Squad Jr. is Joel Kinnaman, who will not be returning as Rick Flag.
We have not heard if the character is going to get a recast or if he just wasn't planned to be in this movie to begin with.
Kinnaman previously signed on to Suicide Squad after Tom Hardy dropped over scheduling conflicts.
Why didn't I know that Tom Hardy could have played this and done a way better job?
Oh, we absolutely know. We did cover it.
Why did I not remember this?
I remember we were like, that fucking House of Cards piece of shit, fuck that guy. He's forever negative in my eyes. And even when we saw Suicide Squad, it's like fucking Rick Flag.
He was so whiny, and he had like chewing tobacco in his mouth the whole time. I'm like, spit that shit out. You're a grown-ass man. Don't be chewing tobacco.
Going after Frank Underwood and shit. Just shit out of here. This is why you're in the Suicide Squad now and not in office or whatever the fuck he was trying to do.
Go jump in front of a train.
Fucking Kevin Spacey pushing people.
Let's just live in a world, though, where Tom Hardy played this character, right? It would have been fantastic. So much better. I would have felt the emotion instead of just me and my girlfriend.
I think we just don't like Kinnaman. But, props to him, though. Like, not only for, all right, we didn't like his character and, good that he's not in it, but also, no, good that you're not in this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he just went up a level there.
Don't put your name tied to that nonsense.
That's fucking worse. Don't be on this fucking pedo perv movie thing. Get out of here. Like, stay clean. Get out of this mess. Don't get involved in any of that nonsense. And what will surely be something that a lot of the DC belugas are not going to be supporting, and for sure, the MCU sheep will not be watching.
If you care to watch this movie, it releases August 6th, 2021. As we said, we will not be partaking in Suicide Squad Jr.
As we know, 2019 is the 80-year anniversary of the greatest superhero of all time, which is Batman. And to celebrate the greatest superhero, Variety is reporting that Chris Nolan's The Dark Knight trilogy will be returning to IMAX. So we got Detective Comics 1000, we've got the extra huge bit of merch, we got the Funko Pops that celebrate not only the first appearance of Batman, but also the different movie iterations of the character, and now we're getting a re-release on IMAX.
I think that is a brilliant idea, because at least I feel for me that the Nolan movies are what really made Batman, started my journey towards becoming a Batman fan, right? Because yes, we had the other movies. We had the 89 Batman. You have the weird George Clooney. I don't know. You have all those, right? But Nolan's came out and like it really felt like the Batman that we have now.
I don't know if I'm 100% on board with that. I know the animated series was my main catalyst on Batman.
But I'm talking like big screen, not including Mask of the Phantasm, because I get that was on the big screen. Don't throw that in there. But big screen live action.
Here's the thing I will be with you on, where right now people are pretending because Batfleck is so fucking amazing, right? His portrayal of the Batman was so great that they are now trashing the Nolanverse Batman as that Batman wasn't portrayed right. It didn't work well. The voice was weird. He didn't look like Batman. And they're not taking into account that he did do a lot for the character on the big screen. And then because of that, we got the Joker, which inspired so many fans to not only get into the character, but into the rest of the villains, and then in turn, into the rest of the Batman and DC universe. A lot of great things came out of this. They're not even taking into account that this is a universe in which it's supposed to have a more grounded feel to all of these characters, to the universe, and to Batman. And they're comparing that as if, well, it's not really comic accurate. Well, of course it's not. Of course it's not. It's not meant to be. Give the Nolan universe, their trilogy, the props it deserves. Don't act like because we have Batfleck that this thing is now inferior. They're two great things, two separate and good things.
People really think that Nolan's inferior? Like, they were great. Where else are you going to have Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul?
It's those kinds of movies are the example you show where it's like, these aren't just great superhero movies. They're great films. And you don't have that in the superhero universe often at all. It's very few and far between that you're like, that's good. as a movie. Not even like, oh, well, that was a good superhero film. No, that was a great film. Batman Begins and The Dark Knight.
It was a great trilogy, though, right? Because then you tie it in all the way at the end with Talia being there and being like, yeah, you killed my fucking dad. I'm here to, like, finish what he's doing and kill you, too. And you're like, oh, shit, he fell in love with her. But I'm like, Batman, you got Catwoman over there.
And Tom Hardy's amazing performance as Bane.
I can't even remember his lines, but I remember in his little mask.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was, again, different.
And then where are the other drugs going?
And that's another thing that people also forget. It's that it's not Christian Bale that was, you know what, this is going to be the voice from now on.
Right.
Chris Nolan came forward and said, we adjusted the heck out of the voice in post-production starting with Dark Knight. That's why in Batman Begins, it sounds more
gravelly and
it sounds like now people were not making fun of Batman Begins Batman.
But then you could also argue that Batman changed as he progressed, as he even does in the comic books.
I agree with you as well, but I don't know why people are still shitting on Christian Bale when it's clearly a post-production decision and not Christian's.
I thought he was a way better Bruce Wayne than, oh man, I forgot his name from 89.
He's definitely the best Bruce.
Yeah.
And I know
He's
people
great.
really like Ben Affleck as Bruce. I'm still a Christian Bale Bruce fan. And I think that goes back to the fact that American Psycho is one of my favorite movies. And even then you can see you can see him as Bruce Wayne. I saw that before when they announced him as Batman. It's like, yeah, of course that could fucking work. Like, he's practically acting like Bruce Wayne in this movie.
But we digress. Moving forward.
Some Nolan discussion.
Yeah,
Didn't
sorry.
expect that.
So we do have a quote here from domestic distribution president Jeff Goldstein, who said, Christopher Nolan broke new ground with the Dark Knight trilogy, and this is a rare chance for today's audiences to experience these extraordinary films as they were meant to be seen, end quote.
When they were filmed, it was a pretty big deal that he was filming these long IMAX sequences, and when they released The Dark Knight on IMAX, they were sharp scenes. They were in that bigger format. Even now in the Blu-rays and DVDs, you'll see the movie convert to that IMAX sizing and then go back. It's seamless. But when you see it on Blu-ray and you really pay attention, you're like, holy shit, this is a full picture. Play it on Netflix and you will find and you will see that conversion. But the limited run is going to begin on March 30th at City Walk, California, Hollywood's Universal Cinema AMC, with Nolan scheduled for a moderated Q&A discussion.
Shit, that's amazing.
Then on April 13th, The Dark Knight IMAX returns on New York City at AMC Lincoln Square, and then San Francisco's AMC Metron.
And finally, on April 20th, the three films will begin showing at Toronto's Cinesphere, Ontario Place, and Indianapolis's Indiana State Museum IMAX Theater.
Several places throughout the country, so if you're near those spots and maybe you can catch Chris Nolan at the Q&A, and who knows what he'll say about the films or maybe what The Dark Knight Returns could have been had Heath Ledger continued on into the third film. Nolan, he's currently working on an untitled project for Warner Brothers with a scheduled release date of July 17th, 2020.
What would you do if this untitled production was Mask of the Phantasm with Chris Nolan again, with Christian Bale again?
It'd be awesome. It'd be a valiant effort, but you can't hit perfection. But if they can hit like just under perfection, I'd be happy.
What if it was the Mask of the Phantasm starring Kevin Conroy? So skinny ass Kevin Conroy, they're gonna stick him in a Batman suit.
Once again, you don't have. Do you have Paul Dini? Do you have Bruce Timm?
They can all be in there.
All right. Well, then they'll still get close to perfection.
But they're playing characters, not just writing it.
It'd be funnier.
Paul Dini gets to play Andrea Beaumont.
I don't know about this now. I know a lot of people hope that Nolan's untitled film is going to be something DC related. I highly
Probably
doubt
not.
it. His last couple
No.
projects have been more personal for him and great films on that end too.
Some more great things coming from DC on the movie side, though. We got the first trailer to the animated Batman vs. TMNT, which premiered at Entertainment Weekly.
We have to stop them, Batman.
Whatever they are, they're going to regret stepping foot in Gotham.
The film is based on the James Tynion IV and Freddie Williams II's 2015 comic book crossover. The actual artwork, the designs are very different from the comic book. They did not really base it on the comic book as far as the look of it. I think they went something a little bit closer to maybe the animated TMNT cartoon from early 2000s. That's what I got from these particular turtles. And then the Batman himself looks like something from the 70s with a blue suit.
Mm-hmm. I still thought it looked cool.
Oh, yeah.
I was
thought
fine.
it was great.
I think it looks great. I think what we actually got in the comics would be difficult to translate into... am I thinking of the same one?
Yeah, it was more like they're kind of bulkier and there's a lot more line work. It's a little bit not sloppy, but it's
kind
more
of closer
stylized.
to Eastman stuff, right?
Yeah, if
Sort
compared
of.
to this, yes.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, I think that would have been more difficult to translate into what they have. I think what they have now is going to catch, it catches our eye, obviously, but kids as well are going to be entertained by it because there's still a lot of colors. So one thing I really liked is when all the turtles are in black because they're in the shadows, right? But you can still see their masks really brightly. So listen, I'm sold. I was sold before they showed me this trailer, but I'm still sold.
The voice work is what we really saw come out of this, and it's as close as you can get to Kevin Conroy. We said before with the Arkham Origins video game with Troy Baker, who did voice Two-Face in the Arkham games, and then in the Origins prequel, he voiced Batman. He also voiced Joker as well, and that's who we're going to get in this new animated adaptation. And it sounds as close as you can get to the Batman himself and to the Joker as well. You
can tell that it's not them, obviously, just in the inflections sometimes. But like you said, very, very close. It sounds like he's trying to emulate him, which obviously Kevin Conroy is our favorite Batman voice. So to get as close as we can to that, I'm okay.
What'd you think of the rest of the Turtles and their voice work?
They're not my turtles. It sounds like they're different voices. One of the turtles sounded like Robin. Did you catch that too? We're gonna have to watch it again.
I'd have to go back and really pay attention. Which Robin?
I don't remember.
Like Robin, an animated Robin?
Yeah, Robin from Teen Titans, maybe, is what it sounded like. Again, I was listening in passing, right? I was making my pour over coffee while we were watching it. So I need to go back and listen again. But we get to see Damian. He's in there.
Yes.
And Batgirl is in there. She's going to play a large role. And then obviously all the turtles. And you got Shredder. And then the villain, Ra's al Ghul.
Yes.
So you know there's going to be something between Ra's and Damian in there. There has to be.
Of course. I hope they redo the scene in the comic where Batman is talking about Ra's al Ghul and how big of a villain and a threat he is to the rest of these turtles. And when Leonardo is talking to him and he says, "Who is this racial ghoul?" Like, as in like a racist. And Batman corrects him and says, Ra's al Ghul. Like, he got close, but that comic itself implements further that you pronounce it Ra's al Ghul.
Ra's al Ghul, yep.
If Batman the Animated Series is not enough of convincing or the co-creator of the character, then here you go. The comics themselves have fucking said it. I want that scene. And then we do get clearly the recreation of Batman kicking the turtles' asses.
Yes.
Like in the comic, all four of them, he takes them on, destroys them. And it's not until he fights Splinter that it's a little bit more even.
Well, Batman's a master of all these different kind of martial arts, right? So it only makes sense that he would be able to defeat all of them. And something we always forget is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are teenagers, right? What have they really learned compared to this man?
This Batman.
This man.
Yeah, they can, like, maybe Nightwing might struggle a little bit more with the Turtles. That might be an more even fight.
Damian wouldn't struggle.
No, he beat the shit out of Raphael. Remember that?
Oh, yeah, I do remember.
He had him in that hold, like, breaking his arm and shit. I want that kind of connection between Raph and Batman to also translate into the animated movie, because it seems like he did connect with him more than any of the other turtles. It was Raph and Donatello from what I remember.
Yeah, because he went on a mission with them. I am sad that we don't have Mikey's voice from the Nickelodeon cartoon.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was a perfect fit for him. But again, we only heard him a little bit, right? So let's watch the movie and see how it all plays out.
As we said when they first announced this project, hopefully the success of this brings us the animated Batman the Animated Series and TMNT crossover that we got from the comics. Give us that in animated format, and then we can get that Mikey and Robin, it was Dick Grayson instead of Damian. So that'd be great, but this itself looks amazing. It is set to release this spring.
We also got something else that I was not expecting, which was a trailer for Justice League: The Fatal Five.
We need to know what he knows.
He doesn't even know what he knows.
I was just asking about the return of Batman the Animated Series to the animated format. This is it. This is the Timverse. The Timverse coming back. And the synopsis is Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman seek answers as the time-traveling trio of Mono Persuader and Tharok terrorize Metropolis in search of budding Green Lantern Jessica Cruz.
This movie is set to release April 16th, so right around the corner, but exactly like you said, this is Timverse, this is Justice League and Justice League Unlimited brought back to the Tim's big screen, the Tim screen. This is Kevin Conroy.
Hell yeah. It's also original Wonder Woman as well.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And the designs look exactly like
Spot
Justice
on.
League and Justice League Unlimited. You have Batman with the long ears.
Mm-hmm.
You have Superman with like the sort of like beady eyes that we got. You got Wonder Woman looking exact. This is like the latest season. It's like the latest story. How do you feel about them introducing these new characters into that older universe like Jessica Cruz?
I think that you kind of have to keep it relevant, right? Because everybody wants to see a new story. We obviously would be okay with a continuation of Justice League Unlimited. Fine, have the old characters. But you have to make it relevant. So I almost feel like this is kind of a test as well, saying, okay, well, here's kind of a mix between the two. Let's see how popular it is. And if it does great, then hopefully they continue forward.
There's been a huge movement on Twitter. It's like hashtag JL Reunion, where people want all of the voice actors to come back for a project, a new show. And all of them have been like, yeah, Kevin Conroy is a huge proponent of this, where he's constantly retweeting and saying, yes, I'm in. Come on, Warner Brothers. And as you said, I think if this is successful, they will move forward with more of this. And with a lot of voice actors returning for even this particular project, who knows what will come out of this, and in the future if we'll get more. I do really like that the art style is so honored and exact to the original, where they did not take huge liberties at all with this. They didn't go full CG or anything like that with the original designs. It is all still exactly as we remember.
Well, the thing is, the original designs were so great. I don't think you need to change them to make them more modern. Obviously, this is, 20 years later? That we're now getting
something like that, yeah.
Yeah, at least 15 years later. But the designs still hold up so well, especially in that animated universe that they've created, that I don't think you really need to change it to make it modern. I like that they even took these new characters and put them back into that old design. So it was interesting to me that they chose Jessica Cruz of all characters, because I don't really like her character, but I guess people do.
No, I'm with you too. And I'm sure maybe were the Earth 2 Justice League at all? Did they show up in the trailer?
I don't
like
think
Ultraman
so.
and all them?
No, I didn't see them.
Because that would be an interesting connection, and I don't think we saw that in Justice League Unlimited. I know we got the Injustice League, or the different Earth one where Superman had actually lobotomized Doomsday and a lot of these villains, and I think that's the closest we've gotten in that universe to, Ultraman, for example, or Superwoman. But who knows? Maybe they'll show up and we'll get that Bruce Timm translated character into this, and I wouldn't be shocked if he himself also redesigned these characters to fit into that universe.
You think they're going to pay him that much money?
Yes.
Pay him all the money. So like we said, April 16th, right around the corner, we will be seeing this movie as soon as it comes out.
We pre-ordered it last night.
Look
remember?
at that. Oh yeah, I do remember. Don't pre-order it from Target.
Isn't that where we pre-ordered it?
I don't know, maybe. It says September, so we may never get it.
I still think that date is wrong. I think they'll update it.
I'm sure they will.
Merging on over to the comic book side of things, Warner Brothers has sent out Shazam promotional movie posters, aka the true Captain Marvel, to US and Canadian comic book shops in hopes that they'll display them in store to promote the film.
They've also asked the retailers to take a picture where they've hung the poster, send it on over to WB so that we can hashtag, here's my poster. I don't know what their hashtag is.
Yeah, I guess just hashtag Shazam, hashtag Captain Marvel, hashtag Shazam movie. The movie's set to release April 5th, 2019. There's a couple of early screenings happening right now, also next week. Here's where some of the controversy came out, though, because a lot of industry members and a lot of comic shop owners were going, okay, well, how about instead of trying to promote the movies at the comic book shop, how come you aren't promoting the books at the movies? Why isn't there some kind of commercial or slide or something before the movie comes out or after the movie? When Green Lantern, the live action movie, came out, at the end of the film, you saw Jeff Johns' Green Lantern available at a comic shop near you. Go to comicshoplocator.com. All of that was in there, and they haven't done it since. So I know in the past, like when Wonder Woman came out, the older shop that I worked at was in a mall, and there was a movie theater nearby. So we asked them to kind of partner up, and we gave out free Comic Book Day books and Wonder Woman books and promoted the shop, and people that liked the movie could bring the ticket stub and get something, like I think it was like a coupon X% off. And that was the kind of thing we were doing, but comic shops have to go out and actually do that.
Right.
But we're not getting that support from the movie studios, and in return, they want us to support that. It's just kind of weird. Like, we get posters on a regular basis from the movie side to promote it, but it's kind of bizarre that they went for a huge push on this in particular, which then got the conversation going of, how come you're not promoting comic shops? How come that's not being reciprocated?
I wonder if, and I may be pulling at straws, right, and defending them when I shouldn't, but I wonder if there's something contractually that says that they can't do that. Like something in fine print somewhere. Because it seems like such an easy thing to do, right? So it seems like it's so easy just to put up a thing, like exactly like you said, check this out at your local comic shop. Here's where you can find one. The
only thing I can think of, and that's because the only answer I have is when they asked Dan DiDio a similar thing with the TV shows. They said, how come you don't have, at the time, Arrow and Flash were big. They said, how come you don't have Stephen Amell tweeting out a picture of, hey, this issue out this week, make sure to pick it up at your local comic shop. DiDio said that they have to make contracts with not only his agent, but also with Warner Brothers Television, because it's still DC Comics as a comic company,
right,
and work out deals to pay each other for that kind of promotion. So maybe it's something similar, where they'd be promoting the comic division company of Warner Brothers through the film side, and then they'd have to work out some kind of contract on that end. That's all I can think of, and maybe that's different than just send them a poster, we'll pay for it, and that's it, as opposed to, hey, in the movie, can you have this? Or, hey, can you put up these ads that promote the comic book?
Right. And that would make a lot of sense if that's what it was. It's shitty that that's what it is, because it seems like they would be helping each other, right? But I'm sure just sending comic shops a poster is just marketing. You would send, you send the poster to the movie theater so they can post it up. Again, just marketing. And it's probably different to actually put it there on the screen.
As far as the comic shop that I do work at, we will be putting up the poster, and maybe we'll put up a picture in the hashtag.
Do we get to take the poster home when you're done with it?
We usually do like a Facebook giveaway for the store.
Give it away to me.
But we do have several posters set up in the store, so we're constantly rotating it based on what the comic book publishers send us, which is nearly every week they'll send us something. And then when Justice League came out, they sent us a poster as well. And also, I don't think they've sent us one from Marvel Studios, but every now and again we do get Umbrella Academy. They sent us one for Netflix and the comics.
You could get one from Marvel Studios, but you have to purchase so many of them before they send you a free one. And it has to match with your orders from last month.
They would pull something like that.
And then you could get the variant one.
Moving along here over to DC Comics. They have announced that a new set of original graphic novels of DC superhero girls based on the upcoming current cartoon will be published in October.
The new DC Superhero Girls animated series airs on March 17th on Cartoon Network.
We had looked at the new designs before, where they were designed by one of the workers right now on My Little Pony. And from the looks of the graphic novel, it does have that same type of aesthetic. The DC Superhero Girls comics do well. They still do really well today. I don't think this will be any different just because it's based on a new show. In fact, I think it'll be bigger because there's going to be more eyeballs on that show than the shorts that were on YouTube.
I think especially if kids are still the primary audience for this, right? If they're still the ones going out and purchasing the comic book, changing the design and the art style, I don't think affects kids as much as it does adults.
Right.
Because we like things to be a certain way, and that's not my way. But
yeah, it's true.
Kids are pretty fluid. They'll go with whatever. They'll say, oh, cool, they're in different outfits. Boom. Done. So, yes, I don't foresee this affecting them negatively. Like you said, hopefully they get more eyes on it, and then it'll just be a positive improvement.
We have some comic book convention news this week as well. ReedPop who is the producer of conventions such as my favorite, C2E2 and PAX, have acquired Miami's Florida SuperCon, so right here locally in state. I think overall a good thing.
Potentially. I've never been to C2E2, and I've never been to Miami SuperCon, so what do I know? But if you are interested in going to Florida SuperCon in 2019 this year, it's going to be in Miami at the Beach Convention Center July 4th through the 7th.
4th of July weekend. It's going to be busy as fuck.
AF!
Quote here from Lance Fensterman, global president of ReedPop, who said, quote, "We are thrilled with the addition of Florida SuperCon to the ReedPop family. Mike Broder and his team have done an amazing job in making this show one that has incredible fan and industry support," end quote.
I'm pretty sure that guy's a villain.
Like with that name?
Yes, his name's Lance Fensterman.
Fensterman. What's your game, Fensterman?
I want to purchase all of the conventions and then tear them to the ground.
ReedPop currently runs nearly 40 conventions throughout the world.
He's on his way to owning all of them.
Being such a big fan of C2E2 that I am all for this. If they can give us a C2E2 here in state, then absolutely, let's have it. And I know I like MegaCon, great, but it is still not right there with C2E2 as a whole. Like, it is a comic book experience. It is about comic books, whereas MegaCon is a little bit more of a mix of anime, comics, and then
Media.
the TV and media, yeah.
If they're going to bring a C2E2, though, can they at least choose Orlando so I don't have to drive very far?
I've always wanted to go to Florida SuperCon because I hear nothing but good things, but it's out in Miami.
I mean, I wouldn't mind taking a road trip down there one year, but 4th of July weekend? Hell no. I'm not going anywhere near a beach on 4th of July weekend.
It's kind of like here with MegaCon. They'll usually do it on Memorial Day weekend. And that's another thing. It's a pain in the ass getting into the city and state even. So I know a lot of people drive down from Georgia to attend MegaCon. Even for us, locally in Orlando, it's still a massive, forget Saturday. Like even on a Friday, it can get pretty fucking congested. And that's why this year we're actually going to try to rent out a hotel and just stay there and save ourselves the headache, especially with the little man, Leo. We're just save ourselves a lot more time. And as you mentioned before, you can just take a break from the convention, go back to the room, refuel and use the restroom, eat, whatever, and then come back.
Our last bit of news this week is something we have been waiting for. We knew this was going to happen, but I'm so excited that this book found a soft place to land. The former DC Vertigo title Second Coming has found a new publisher with Ahoy Comics.
It's the first time I've heard of Ahoy, and it won't be the last because good on them for picking up this.
Yes.
Second Coming follows Jesus Christ as he returns to Earth to learn about what it takes to be the true Messiah. As part of that, the Christian Son of God becomes roommates with a superhero known as Sunman.
Great premise. Like, how could that not sell? This is going to make so much money.
As we all know, it was originally a DC Vertigo ongoing series, but due to controversy, mainly from a Spain right-wing Christian, I think it was Catholic actually, group, that went after this comic, got a tons of publicity, tons of eyes on it. DC ended up, I'm sure this is also a byproduct of Batman Damned, because the Dio and Jim Lee both said that they had to rethink their publishing completely, and they went in the direction of avoid as much controversy as possible. So I'm sure this is also a byproduct of that. They ended up just dropping and deciding not to publish the series, giving the rights back to the original creators. And they even said on Twitter, it's probably going to come out quicker now because of that. They said, thank you, DC. It wasn't like a bad breakup, if you will. They understand why they went with that PR move. But now, because of that controversy, it's coming out. It's probably going to get more sales. I know I've already gotten people telling me, hey, can I already pre-order that? I'm like, it's going to be in preview soon. I will, I have my list and I'll add it on when it is. But yes, like it is, like I'm not going to read, like we're going to read it obviously, but it's getting more readership because of it.
So originally this was going to be an ongoing, but Ahoy's edition has solicited it as a 6-issue series.
Probably also a product of the fact that it is an independent publisher. Depending on how well the 6 issues do, then they'll contract them for 6 more or whatever the original plan was.
I just feel like, and we've talked about it before, but this series has so much potential, right? It could be like a sitcom about Jesus.
It is set to release summer 2019, so it should be in this coming previews or next.
As always, guys, pick up the previews, check it out. You're going to find stuff like this, which maybe you hadn't heard about, or many, many other things that will be available soon.
Let's head on over to the more personal part of the podcast, which is the Brocat Block.
Mm-hmm.
This is where Pablo, Kelli, and I have been this week, and you have been to several countries over the last week.
One other country.
Was it just one?
Just one. I only went to the Bahamas.
There's no way some part of the ocean was not another country's territory that you crossed.
Pretty sure it was all of the Bahamas.
Especially with all the... Aren't those each individual countries? It's not just the Bahamas. Isn't it different?
No, it's just the Bahamas. Sure? Yeah. It's like Hawaii is still the U.S.
Fine. You were out of the country.
I was out of the country. I went to the Bahamas. I took a 3-day... quote girls weekend, except I was with a gay man, but whatever. 3-day cruise, went out, relaxed. You were gracious enough to watch the little man so I could take some time away, sleep in for the first time in 2 years.
Took a break.
I did. A lot of fun. Royal Caribbean is what I went on. That's been my last, there's 3 cruises now, right? That I've been on Royal Caribbean. That's where they played the Venom movie. That's what I was talking about earlier.
Was it out on deck on the big screen?
Yep, out on deck. They played it twice. They played it both nights.
Good.
Yep. So got to see a little bit of that, but mostly it was just eating a lot of food. Met friends at dinner, because they always seat you with other people. If you haven't been on a cruise, you go to dinner, you're seated at a table with at least one other couple, sometimes, even more if you're at a bigger table. So the couple that we sat with had the unlimited drink package, and they're like, "You want some drinks?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, I want some drinks." So they just passed us their card as we passed bars, and they don't care. They're not asking like, "Is this really you?" I'm like, "Just give me some drinks." So
scan that shit.
Got to have a lot of drinks, walk around some shady ass ports. See some cool stuff. It was a lot of fun.
What made them shady?
Oh, man.
That's the part that fascinated me.
The first one was Nassau, which wasn't that bad. It was comparable to other places that we've been.
Was that the one I didn't like? No, Belize. Belize is the one I didn't like.
Yes, Belize is the one that you didn't like. Nassau is bigger than Belize. So it wasn't that bad. It was like a regular port town, right? So you got the people hustling you like, "Come and check out my little chingaderas, souvenirs to take home. Here's some shells." Streets are full and congested of taxis moving and all this kind of stuff. But then I really wanted Starbucks because the coffee on the ship was terrible. Like, I don't think I've ever had coffee this bad. It was so bad.
You said it was burnt all the time, right?
It tasted burnt all the time. And I don't know that this is the problem. I'm sure part of it was the water that they're using. They might have done the wrong concentrate, but the machines that they're using, right? You push the button and it fills up. But example, at home, when you brew a Keurig, right? It starts out real dark and then it gets lighter as it brews because more water comes out and then it mixes together to make the perfect ratio of coffee to water. And these things, it does the same thing. You hit the button and it brews the darkest first and then it goes lighter and then it mixes to make the right ratio. Well, it takes 7 minutes for that whole process, 7.5 minutes, something like that. So if it's mid-brew and you go to pour your coffee, you don't have the right ratio of coffee. And then if they continually just add coffee on top of that, I don't know. I'm making up excuses for them, right? It was shitty. So we get off on the port and Raphael, my friend that I went with, I was like, "Google me a Starbucks." And there were 6 in the area. And I was like, fuck yeah. So the first day we went and got a Starbucks and I got one of those from their Where Are You series. You Are Here series from Starbucks. So it's a nice Starbucks cup that says Bahamas on it. Got that. Walked around. So, they had like 2 different diamond stores and they had a bunch of different bars. And that one wasn't too shady. A normal port town. They had a Sharky's, which is everywhere. They had a Senior Frogs down the place. Cheap drinks wherever you go. That was fine. Whatever. But then the second place we went was Freeport, Bahamas. Shady. The whole island, most of the island, was industrial. So you look out and there's just drought-resistant trees, so like evergreens and bullshit. Mm-hmm. A bunch of those. When Batman fights people and there's those big metal containers?
Yes.
Those were everywhere. You looked out the window everywhere. And then you get off the boat And there's all these fences, and you walk in, and there's just like 3 huts and a Senior Frogs, and that's it. And then you got to get on a taxi to go places. So we walked out for like 20 minutes. I got color changing nail polish, and we walked back on the boat, and I took a nap.
And you said you only went in groups, right, when you went out?
Yes. So we hung out with the other couple that we had met, and it was cool. I always feel like, and I don't know that they put thought into this, but I always kind of feel like they put thought into who they seat with you at the table, because we've always sat with people about our age.
Right.
Except for our last cruise, when we sat with those Disney villains, but they were hilarious, so I'll take it. But this couple was literally like exactly our age. I was maybe the youngest at the table, but within 5 years of each other. And we just got along really well. Like these are people that I would hang out with moving forward. And it's really cool because they only live about an hour away anyway. So we have that opportunity. But just really nice people. You know, they had kids also, so they understood it. And they were just getting away for the weekend and enjoying that time together. And so the first night, they're like, hey, we're in the Bahamas tomorrow. You want to go and hang out? Like, if we go somewhere, we'll share a cab. They wanted to go to Atlantis, which is on there. And that's where they met, actually, is on a cruise over at that resort. And they're like, you want to just split a cab? It's $2 a person. We'll go hang out there. We know all the tricks. We know where the best drinks are. Let's go. Well, the forecast said it was supposed to rain all day, and it did sprinkle on and off. So that's when we just walked around. But we always went in groups because, again, it was shady. Mm-hmm. But they had great soft serve ice cream. Food wasn't as good as it has been on previous cruises, but whatever. I went to nap.
Yeah, I'm glad you got away and had that time to relax. Definitely, obviously, very well earned.
Thank you.
And I'm glad you got to take that time off from work and do that as well.
And thank you for watching our little man. It sounded like you two survived.
We did. You prepped us up really well you set us up for success, is I think what they call it
Yes.
at work. And you had already prepared meals that we can just heat up or have snacks, and all of that was done. Leo was very happy, very well fed. He and I guess, further bonded because it was just father and son. You weren't home, so I gave him his bath. Put him down. I woke up with him and all of that, fed him everything, dropped him off, picked him up. Mm-hmm. It was all like just father and son time. My stress level was higher, and it's still high. Like, I'm not having like mini breakdowns, I guess it would be. Like, I know I don't know what you call them. I guess it is breakdowns or mental. Yeah, mental one. But I guess I don't have that huge one where people go to fucking psychology and shit for that. So yeah, I'm at operating at 1,000%. I guess I would say over capacity. So that's where I'm at right now. And I did this thing where I was like, all right, let me just not drink for until Kelli gets back, and even a week before that, except for Thursday when I went out with Scott. I'm like, I'm curious if I can just do it, and I could. Like, never longed for alcohol or anything. And so I was always curious because I asked people, like, how much do you drink? How much do you drink a week? And obviously that intake has gone up since having Leo, and never craved it, never wanted it, did it. I'm like, all right, cool. Not an issue.
Not an alcoholic.
That's one thing I learned while you were gone. So, yeah, I mean, it's a rough patch, but it happens. So that's where I'm at.
But I thought it was going to be worse for the two of you. So I'm glad it wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
I'm not outputting my frustrations as often, and that goes on all fronts, not just with you. So I think that's also a process that I'm going through as well. So I think that's another thing that I didn't want to just overload you with. These were the issues while you were gone, because then you'll never want to go on another, break again. So
well, I appreciate that.
As far as there was something I did. Oh, the podcast itself on Stitcher. I was just looking up the stats because every now and again I'll go into Stitcher and see what the metrics are. And it's never been our strongest, not nearly our strongest platform. Obviously, Pocket Cast does really well, and Apple Podcast is the majority of our downloads. But I just logged in and I saw the fucking graph spike from month to month from late last year to now. It's got to be over 1,000% growth. Like, it was insane.
Wow.
I was like, holy shit, fucking Stitcher stepping up on this goddamn shit. So if you're listening on Stitcher, thank you so much. And thanks to Stitcher for having a platform that clearly the Brokettes do enjoy.
But that was all that happened with us this week. Let's move on into our Patreon shoutouts and hear what happened with some of our Patreon supporters.
First shout out goes out to Jared on Twitter @SpoonSandwich. You can also head on over to youtube.com/Jared Monroe.
He said, quote, "Well, shit, I'm 32 now. Is it time to act like an adult? Nope." End quote.
Hell yeah, Jared.
Hell yeah.
No need to act like an adult. What
No.
is
Who wants to
acting
act like
an adult,
I
really?
do have to act like an adult most
No, you
days. I have a child. There are many times when I do not act like an adult, but I definitely
That's just called parenting. You can
Okay.
parent
I have
and
to
not
act like
an
a
adult.
parent. Listen, our kid is so cute though. He started giving out kisses this week. I should have talked
did.
about it in the last section. He started giving out kisses and it's the cutest fucking thing. I'm sorry. Please move on.
Yeah, Jared, keep on going, Peter
Yeah.
Pan. That's all you got to do. Keep on going.
It's all how young you feel inside.
Next shout out goes out to Scott on Twitter at Pandanime and at Lazy Gaming Guys.
Scott platinumed on Kingdom Hearts 3 by earning all of the trophies.
Or as I like to call it, Kingdom of Hearts 2.9.
Don't know what any of that is.
That's a huge undertaking. I know every time we go out for drinks and food at Uno's, he will say, yeah, I'm working on this trophy right now, and I'm trying to defeat all the bosses in this. And now he's finally done it. He put it up on the Lazy Gaming Guy's Twitter. He has officially platinum Kingdom of Hearts 2.9. Huge congratulations, Scott. Something that I probably will never do.
Never.
So definitely on your way for being the true Kingdom of Hearts fan.
Our next shout out goes out to Jose, whose Instagram is at Decal Avenue.
Joe's added some Fortnite decals to his shop at decalavenue.com.
Fortnite is huge.
Absolutely massive. If you have kids that love Fortnite, or as Alex over at Purple Swordfish has said, he has heard people call it Forknight. Therefore, it is now called Forknight.
Forknight, yes.
Head on over to decalavenue.com to get your Forknight decals.
And our final shout out this week goes out to Jordan, whose Twitter handle is at Asuelak. He also has the One Up Me podcast.
He tweeted out, quote, "Finish the Umbrella Academy. Strong chance I will read the comics," end quote.
We still need to watch that. It's on our list.
As I said before, I love Umbrella Academy because of how many people come into the store looking for the comics and buying anything Umbrella Academy that they can find. Huge fan of Umbrella Academy already. I love it. I wish I could play it in the store. I still have to get permission from the boss man, but the opening scene is women giving birth, even though I think it is a PG-13 show. I'm still like, that might be a little intense.
Still, there's like blood and stuff. It's
Yeah.
terrifying. If you've ever given birth, you know.
Yeah, that's a great conversion as far as the Umbrella Academy over to the comic book side, even though, you know, these people, some of these will not follow it all the way to the end. If they'll buy the first couple of trades, that's great. I'm still happy. What I found hasn't had that conversion, and I don't know if you can speak on this as a woman, so I don't know how people will feel about this, but you as a woman need to speak about this. Is that sexist? I don't know.
A little
You be the judge. I have not seen the conversion of Captain Marvel to comic shops as I have in previous, even MCU movies or DC films. Hellboy right now is getting a ramp up on the comics. People are like, hey, I need to read the comic that the movie is based on. Yep, the Witch Queen. Here you go. Or even, you know, the first omnibus for Hellboy, because a lot of people want to read it in chronological order. I am reordering Hellboy every single week. What I am not reordering every week is Captain Marvel. Leading up to it, I had one customer that was buying as much Captain Marvel as possible, but I did not have anyone on the young side. I know a lot of people like to tout. I see a lot of tweets where like they'll have that clearly set up photo of a little girl in a Captain Marvel suit, like looking up at the poster, like, oh, this is why this is important. And it's like, I'm not seeing that like I have in the other movies, though. I've not seen, you know, a sudden influx or a spike in sales from little girls or young girls or women or teenagers. It's only that one customer that's like really buying all of this. Even my regular comic readers are like, I don't really need it. Like, I saw the movie and it was great and I liked it, or I didn't like it, it was terrible, but they're not converting into the sales for the pops or the statues or the comic books. What is lacking? Why is Captain Marvel not pulling in that hype that the previous movies have?
I can only speak from what I see, right? And obviously we haven't seen the movie. I have no plans to see the movie anytime soon, at least. But we were talking about it a little bit earlier, and we started to bring in Wonder Woman, right? When Wonder Woman came out, yes, you saw that conversion. Everybody wanted Wonder Woman. One thing I will say about that is Wonder Woman is a much bigger name than Captain Marvel.
Of course.
Obviously, everybody knows Wonder Woman. Everybody's known Wonder Woman for years. Not as many people know Captain Marvel.
More people know Storm from the X-Men than they know Captain Marvel.
Yes, absolutely. So that is one piece of it. I think another piece of it that's kind of really a turnoff for me, because and we're not Marvel MCU fans. If you listen to the podcast, I guess you know that. But even some of those I would be willing to go and see, right? But Captain Marvel has no appeal for me at all. And I think part of that for me is the way that they're pushing it and saying, this is a movie for women, this is about women, this is strong women, etc., etc., etc. Wonder Woman didn't have to make those claims, didn't have to push it. It just was what it was. There was so much positive advertisement behind that. Gal Gadot did not get on there and say, this isn't for men, this is only for us women, right? She was a strong character, as we've said many, many times on this show. I feel like with Captain Marvel, we're just trying to push that it's for women, and that doesn't really make me want to go see it.
It's not genuine,
right?
Is it?
It doesn't feel genuine. It feels like you're trying to say that I have to go see this because I'm a woman, because this movie is for me. I would rather you just make a good movie and market it as a good movie, as something that my husband and I are going to want to go see on a date night, not I need to get all my girlfriends together, which we don't have time to see each other, right? I can find time for a movie with my husband. I can't find time for a movie with my girlfriends because we all have kids and husbands. So I would rather you make a movie that I'm going to want to go see with my family and not something that's only for women.
Unlike Captain Marvel, which you're obviously not feeling that type of energy to, what was that type? How did it feel when you went to see Wonder Woman with your mom? Do you remember you brought her and it was like an event where it's like, no, you have to see it or we have to see it. And you went and saw Wonder Woman in theaters. Maybe it wasn't in theaters, maybe it was on Blu-ray, but where she, like, it was a thing. And I saw on Twitter a lot of women were going with their moms and their grandmas and their daughters. And what was that tapped energy like?
Well, I mean, that was amazing. I do remember, I didn't see it in theaters with her, but we did see it in theaters like 3 or 4 times, didn't we? We saw that movie a lot in theaters. Yeah, we saw it
several times.
I don't think I went to see it in theaters with her, but I did see it at home. And I remember sitting down and watching the Blu-ray with her and just being like, no, Mom, this is a great movie. And there were those moments that still give me chills, right? And I sit there and I cry every single time. And I look over and she's crying as well. Because again, they put forth a great movie. They didn't make it all about women. They didn't make it all about women power. And that's not the thing I think about myself, about my mom, about your mom, about all the women in my life, right? Which I think is true for a lot of women and a lot of wives, is we're very strong for our family, but we do it in a subtle way. We don't go out and say, I support my family so much. My family needs me to be strong for these reasons. We just do it. Mm-hmm. And that's true for a lot of women in my life. And so those are the characters that we relate to. I don't relate to a character that says I'm strong because I'm a woman and I'm doing all this, again, because I'm a woman. I relate to a Wonder Woman who just goes out there and does what she has to do and is the support for her family and is the support for the people around her and doesn't need acknowledgement for that.
And I think that's the connection that Wonder Woman had with people and viewers. Was the one thing I kept seeing, and they made it a huge point in that movie, was love. Mm-hmm. Love was a huge part of the Amazonians, of the story itself. It was the catalyst for her awakening that goddess power within her when Steve Trevor sacrificed himself in the name of, love and patriotism and humanity. Mm-hmm. So the one thing that I only see on Twitter with even the marketing and the MCU sheep and the people that are acting like apologists for Captain Marvel's kind of lack of oomph, is they're just like, well, she's a flawed character and that's what makes her great. Or it's okay that this is just an okay movie. There's not that message there that this particular, that Wonder Woman had. And that's the only observation I can make, but I'm clearly not.
You're not the market for it, Daniel.
That's one thing I'm wondering. I was like, am I allowed to watch this? Like, I'm not I'm a straight male, but I'm not white. So where do I fit in all this?
We won't be seeing it at least anytime soon, so it doesn't matter.
That was quite the trail there from a
Sorry,
Swaylock's
you
tweet,
got
but
me
we
started.
explored something. I think I was very curious, and we had started to talk about it, but you had mentioned, no, let's save it for the show, and now I know. So huge thanks to Jordan, Jose, Scott, and Jared for your Patreon support. If you would also like your shout out every single month, head on over to patreon.com/thereasonsimBroke, and for just $1 a month, a single dollar, if you have $1 to spare, head on over our way and we will give you your shout out every single month.
You can also leave us a voicemail. We have a link in the description that's at speakpipe.com/thereasonsimBroke. If you leave us a voicemail, we will put it on the show. You can be heard right here with us.
Let's head into the final part of the podcast. It is our comic book highlight of the week.
This week we have The Batman Who Laughs, The Grim Knight #1. This is a one-shot.
This is written by Scott Snyder and James Tynion IV, with art by Eduardo Risso and colors by Dave Stewart. Not a colorist name, but still great colors in this book.
His colorist name would be Da Stew.
Yes. It's a great one.
So I've made it no secret that I do not like The Batman Who Laughs. I think he is spooky AF, and I don't like his face.
Fair enough. This is not The Batman Who Laughs, though. This is what many are calling the Punisher of the Batman universe.
I mean, he was pretty fucking cool.
It's gotten a lot of positive buzz on Twitter, and it seems like people are really digging this version. A lot of people are like, yeah, I've had enough of the evil Batman, but this was really cool. And it really is. I think what made this comic so special, at least for me, as a long-time Batman fan, is it celebrated the 80 years of Batman by giving us, obviously, the origin as told from this version of the Grim Knight, where instead of, oh, my parents are shot, the guy runs away, and Batman is born, he shoots Joe Chill.
Multiple times.
And from there, it continues to evolve and change. We have different artists on the book. We have a couple of pinup pages from different artists. And when the Batman Year One storyline is recreated from the Grim Knight, it looks exactly like the original Year One story. But now instead of you have eaten well, Gotham, he blows the fucking place apart. Like, same exact line, but now it is what if Batman murdered these fucking Gothamites instead of sending that message. Those little touches, those little additions to this history of Batman and his relationship with not only Alfred but also Gordon made this a very rich one-shot.
It really was. It told a great story, a very complete story. And obviously it does continue in The Batman Who Laughs #4, I believe is what it said at the end.
Yes.
It does continue. But even if it didn't, I felt that this was a very, very full story. I got, beginning to end and felt very satisfied by the end of it.
And I do actually have to correct myself. This was all done by Risso. Like, I'm going through here and there's a signature here and it's his signature. So
That's
he
awesome.
actually went through and went with the different art styles to match when he does the flashback of Year One to the current one. It is that different that I thought it was a different artist. Not the case. It is actually all by him. So a feat of artwork on top of it being a very strong story. What'd you think of the twist of Alfred and this Bruce Wayne's relationship?
I thought it was so cool. Like, my heart was in my throat for that moment because, spoilers, Alfred's like, I'm out. I didn't sign up for this. Your parents wouldn't like this. See you later. Bye. Go ahead and kill me, essentially is what he said. And you get that moment where you think Batman's going to do it, and then he stops himself because obviously he can never kill Batman, no matter who he is.
Or Alfred.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Batman can never kill Alfred, no matter who he is. And ultimately, Alfred's the one who ends up turning him in, which I did not expect either. I thought he would have protected him forever, but at the end of the day, Alfred's like his father, right? So what would you as a parent do if your kid was totally off the handle?
A line was crossed in Alfred's mind
Right.
in this case, or at least his version of Alfred. And then we also have the Jim Gordon, who he, at one point, like, this guy has to be a lot stronger, or has to go further than the Jim Gordon that we know, because their officers and their cops are like, no, let him kill the villains. Like, there is no Joker in his universe. He says it himself. He's like, I stopped the guy that had a red hood, but there's no clowns here. And all of these villains, he's just offing.
Right.
So there's no Two-Face anymore, Penguin, all of those guys are dead. He's taking care of them. He is the Punisher, essentially, in the Batman universe. But one thing that Gordon from our universe tells him is, you're not Batman. I see you, and you don't have the protection that our Batman has of Gotham.
Right. You don't believe in this city. You fear it. So you're trying to stamp it down.
Exactly. And that's one thing too, that I saw this Grim Knight as weaker because he never faced the Joker. He did not have to face himself and stop the murdering of these villains or these people as much as he wanted to. He just straight up went after pedophiles, criminals, everyone. He just straight up killed them, which made him, I think, a weaker character than our Batman.
I agree. And then the way that he went after them, his big thing was using Wayne Tech to implant everyone with something. And then if he found out they were wrong, he just hit a button and there they went.
It's Big Brother watching the city.
Right. So ultimately, I think if we see him face off against the Batman Who Laughs or regular Batman, like, yeah, he's not going to be as strong. He's eventually going to fail. Even though he has the guns, he's not as strong. I don't think he's going to be as strong mentally or physically as these other Batmen.
And I think that is going to be also a fault of his in going and working with the Batman Who Laughs because he hasn't had that Joker to go up against.
Right.
So to him, the Batman Who Laughs is just someone that he views as weaker than him. He's like, I'm just going along with this for now, but I don't really, it's just a crazy guy.
Right. And he's not going to understand how his mind works. So
Right.
our Batman gets it. He always knows that the Joker is going to do something unpredictable so he can try and stay 3 steps ahead of him. This Batman's not going to get that. So I think eventually Batman Who Laughs is going to off him. See you later.
I think so too. Yeah. It's I don't know though. It's had great sales, so you can come back though. It's comic book death if that happens. Yeah, I definitely recommend if you're reading The Batman Who Laughs, and it does say to be continued in number 4, but it's not taking place necessarily during the, like, oh, well, what happened here? Like, no, it gives us the origin, and that's it. And then it's like, all right, now here's The Batman Who Laughs.
Right.
So, yes, you can read it right before reading 4, but if you read this and then go into The Batman Who Laughs, you'll be fine as well. But for a $4.99 price point, yes, we do think it is worth the price. You get the extra pages, you get the gorgeous artwork, and you get this amazing origin to this new character.
Even if you're not reading Batman Who Laughs, if you like to see different iterations of Batman, I think it would be a good pickup. Like I said, it's a one-shot. Like we said, it's a one-shot. So you can read it and feel like you have the full story. And if you just want to say, yeah, this was a cool character, and move on, you'll be solid.
So there you go, everyone. Our comic book highlight this week and the show. The Reasons I'm Broke podcast number 339, wrapping right up.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in this and every single week. We appreciate our listeners so much. You can reach out to us on Twitter at Reasons I'm Broke, at Kelli. We also have a Discord.
That's right.
I don't know the name of the Discord, but I have been on there twice this week.
There is a link in today's episode. You can also head on over to thereasonsimbroke.com, scroll all the way to the bottom to our social networking links, and you will find everywhere you can find us, including our Discord lounge.
So thank you guys once again. I am Emperor Kelli.
And I am Elite 4 Daniel.
And Broke Cat Core.
All will be well.